Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wild Interviews with Fabrizio Lasardi. Today, we have another amazing guest with us, directly from Madagascar. Well, this species is a very lesser known one, or maybe not so, at least in Europe and USA. It's a critically endangered species due to poaching for the illegal wildlife trade. It is the Angonoka. And our guest is Angelo Ramy. Welcome, Angelo. It is great to have you.
Hi, Fabrizio. Well, nice to meet you, and hello to all the audience, whoever watched this video. I'm happy to talk about the plowshare tortoise, which is a land tortoise endemic of Madagascar, endemic of the northwest Madagascar. So, as you said, my name is Angelo Ramy Mandimbihasina, a long Malagasy name. I'm a Malagasy citizen working for Toral Wildlife Conservation Trust, or we can just call Toral. And I am in charge of coordinating all community patrol in 6 sites where we work in Madagascar. But before doing this work, in 1999, I was preparing my master's, which is a degree in Madagascar on animal biology at the University of Antananarivo. And I was thinking about working on lemurs, but there was an opportunity to study genetics of reptiles with people from Omaha's Henry Dorley Zoo, people from America, from Nebraska. Then I worked with them, and we have visited many forests in Madagascar. So one of those forests is the famous Ranmafana National Park. And we've been collecting many genetic samples, doing lab work and collecting blood samples, ear punches of lemurs, but also blood samples of reptiles like chameleons, tortoises. And in March 2000, we went down to Balie, northwest of Madagascar, close to a town called Majanga, where we have collected samples of plowshare tortoise. And I was very attracted by this species because, tortoises are very cool, walking slow and steady, and it's very colorful. I don't have a photo if here with me here, but you can Google that and find a
Yeah,
really
I could
good photo
Google it.
species. Yeah, and we've been collecting genetic samples, and I've seen that working in that place is fun because of the flat area, and it's not a real forest, but kind of bush and uh, bamboo scrub, bamboo forest, we say. So we did all the sample collecting, and then I went to Omaha to do the laboratory work, and I defended my master's few years after.
Wow.
Then there was a job opportunity at Turrell to do the scientific survey for ecological monitoring of the plowshare tortoise because it was very endangered. So I applied for the job, and then I've been working as the scientific coordinator of the Balie project in Darrell, Madagascar, before occupying this place on the patrol right now. So I did some work in since 2005 on this species in the field until 2015. But what I've seen was a result of declining species during those times.
Oh, wow. Well, it was very it was very long, but interesting at the same time. I will highlight some of the points and do a little more questions about it. First of all, it's very good that you don't work with lemurs, and it's not in the bad sense, but if we see most people in Madagascar, or well, from around the world, focus or knows about the lemurs, but what about these species like the Angonoka or the Madagascar pochard, which I talked with Glenn Young? You can check out his interview just right up. And
Mhm.
well, yes, it's very interesting that you chose this species, and it's good to know that you are having a great experience with Dorel and working alongside these communities and doing surveys for the species, because that's another
Yeah,
thing. Oh yes, go ahead.
yeah. The plowshare tortoise is what we call golden dome tortoise. It's a land tortoise. The tortoise is walking on the ground,
Yes.
and we all love seeing them with their carapace, and they live longer than us, probably more than 50 years, more than 100 years, but we never know how long. And they can survive without having food for a long period of time. They
Wow.
are active from end of September, beginning of October until uh, late April, and the rest of those times, I mean, from April to September, they are just hiding under somewhere to rest.
Mm.
So they have been used as food for sailors before because the habitat is just nearby the sea.
This.
It's a national park, yeah. And the Arab sailors used to travel to Madagascar and selling things and buying things, and they have bought the tortoise. And the species was known scientifically from an individual says from those sailors, and that specimen is now in France.
Mm.
Uh, the plowshare tortoise is one of the good-looking tortoises I've ever seen. I mean, you have seen Indian star tortoises, which is very beautiful. You have seen also Madagascar's radiated tortoise is very beautiful, but I prefer
The
seeing the
blusher.
plowshare tortoise as it looks like a yellowish, kind of golden
You know
tortoise,
what?
as we can
For
say.
people to have a better idea, let's share a screen and share an image. Please let me know when you start seeing my screen. Are you seeing it?
Yeah,
Great.
it's
Mm,
coming.
let's
Yeah,
see
I see
Berkshire
Google
Tortoise.
plowshare tortoise. Yeah,
Here it is. Let's look for photo.
yes. Mhm. And you can go
Well,
on
people,
image.
here's the. Oh my god, yeah, it's stunning, definitely. See that photo? Wow, it's
You
stunning.
can just pick the second one, the
Is
second
this one
photo.
or this one?
Yeah,
This,
that one.
this one.
Oh,
The other one.
the one. Yeah, any tortoise you can.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Wow, but
that one.
by the way, see this tortoise and
Mhm.
see this tortoise. Are they the same species?
Yes, they are the same. But sometimes when they get old, the shell is coming to be smooth.
Oh,
But when they are so young, the shell is so rough. And you can see there is my picture engraved in the tortoise.
this one. No.
No, the picture of the people. One of them
Oh,
is me.
oh wait. Wow. Really? Oh yes, it's you.
Yeah.
What a
That's me.
coincidence! Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm, what can you tell me about that? About the tagging? I mean, you tagged some of the turtles you found in the wild. You find in the wild, right?
Yes.
What can you tell me about
Yes.
that? About tagging and everything? How that works?
Before telling that, I would like to talk about the threat that these tortoises are facing in the wild. I mean,
Sure.
because tortoises are walking slowly, so it's not that difficult to
To,
catch a tortoise. It's not like lemurs or like birds, so that you have to run and get them somewhere. But reptiles are easy to catch, and tortoises are one of those. So people are poaching them. That's the problem in the field. One female need to get to 20 years old to be able to lay an egg. And the male should be around 24, 25 years old to be able to mount a female. So there is a long time to reach the sexual maturity.
or
And during that time, people may take them from the wild. And most of the time, it is supplying the black market, the illegal wildlife trade worldwide. And as far as we know, most of the tortoise go to Southeast Asia. We don't know which country, but all the information say that they are going to Southeast Asia. But in the same time, there are some more countries that also want to have these tortoise. But the the number of tortoise that we have seen when I did the work was in 2015, the last time. It was around 500 adults in the wild, and it's still declining. So the reason why my photo was engraving the tortoise, because for each individual we give a number, an ID number, and to fight against the poaching and the wildlife trade, we mark the tortoise to be able to identify that this one is from the wild.
oh,
And we have seen the evidence that tortoises from the wild was seen for sale
oh.
on Facebook or for in the internet.
In other countries, because
So
not in
that,
Madagascar, right?
yeah, there was two cases in Madagascar, but there are other cases in other countries.
And by the way, aren't there any captive programs for the Angonoka? But I mean it not related to conservation. Like for example, if they want this species so badly, isn't there
Mhm,
like people in, I don't know, that have breeding centers or something for pet supply?
mhm.
Because of course, it is a very difficult matter. Like, yeah, the exotic pet and the thing, but if you can stop the exotic pet trade at least from taking the animals in from the wild, but supplying them from captivity, we could say, like, they breed in captivity and they go to the owner and the thing. What can you tell me about it?
Um, First of all, let me talk about the species and its conservation laws in Madagascar. So the plowshare tortoise is listed in CITES Appendix 1, which says that we cannot export them from outside Madagascar without scientific research or conservation target. I mean, for conservation work. So it is not for sale, and it is living only in an area of 16,000 hectares in Balie Bay National Park. not the whole park, but only in patches of bamboos,
Oh,
which are very, very fragmented. So Durrell, in 1986, when I was quite 11 years old, uh, they came to Madagascar just to protect this species. That's a mission. So the Durrell team that time was starting to do a captive breeding of the species just to produce more individuals. But the goal in that time is to be able to supply the wild population through reintroductions. So the captive breeding is set up um, in the same climate area, but a bit far from the habitat, which is about, let's say, 150 or 200 kilometers as crow fly, I mean, straight line. But it has the same climate conditions. So the captive breeding it went well with about 20 adults as a founder. And at this time, we have more than 300 babies, captive born tortoises. And
wow.
the first born tortoises in 1989, they are now adult, so they can breed. So we have done no, they have done in 2000 a trial release of the tortoise in the wild with 5 individuals, and they survived all. And I've seen all 5 of them while I was working in the field. Then in 2005, we have released another set of 20. And a few years later, we have done a release of another set of 20. So we have released 60. And then we have released another one. So in total, we have released 105 tortoises in the wild. There were like 3 individuals dead, but all the others are surviving.
And
But the bad thing is that some of them has been poached. So we've been doing the breeding in captivity and supplying the wild animals with reintroduction. They have survived. They have um, produced many babies. But the bad thing is that people are coming to take them to poach, and we've seen some individuals seized in the airport in Tana, some other individuals seized in Majanga, and some individuals seen for sale outside Madagascar.
yes, it's a huge issue. By the way, when you mentioned that you had released 60 sets, well, yes, not sorry, 60 tortoises by 2010,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Well,
Let's say 100 tortoises in 2010.
100 tortoises. Well,
Yes,
you said
100.
that some of them were poached, some of them died. Well, but if we look at the statistics, if let's say three of them of the 100 were the ones that were poached
Mm,
or died, for me, it is a huge success in the reintroduction program
yeah,
because less than, I don't know, that's less than 5%, less than, I think, no, yes, 3%
yeah.
of the
Three
of the
percent
entire
has
group.
died, but more than that. Let's say about 20 has been poached,
Oh,
and we have stopped doing the release because the poacher will say, "Ah, thanks to Doral, they have given us the money."
Oh
because they
my
sell the
God.
tortoise and they get the money. So we have stopped the release, and we are trying to protect the places where the tortoises are living. So that's why I am now working as a coordinator of the patrol, community patrol, because we have engaged some people from the community to do patrol around the places. There are five patches of habitats, and one of them is very big, where we have three sites of patrolling, and all the other site has one, two, three, four groups of patrols. So
Wow.
we have seven groups of patrols inside protecting those habitat and the tortoises. And we've seen a lot of signs of people entering in the habitat just to poach the tortoises.
Whew. It it sounds like not dangerous, not but like what happens if, for example, during a patrol you encounter a poacher? Are the poachers armed, or are the poachers, like ready to fight for the tortoise?
Yeah, it's quite challenging, but so far the poachers are only having some hacks or machetes, and when the patrollers are seeing poachers, they run away. I mean, the poachers are trying to escape from patrollers. So that is good news, but we don't know why, but that is not happening that much. There might be one or two, three people poaching from not the villages around, but from villages a bit far from the habitat, because what was happening in Baly Bay since 1997, the Daryl team has invested a lot to do some public awareness of the species and try to convince people to protect the plowshare tortoises. And people are convinced, and there was a creation of the Balie Bay National Park because of that. So the law protecting the park and the people protecting the tortoise are already protecting the population. But in the same time, there used to be fires, and fires still exist because those are mostly accidental fires made by people, but
Yes.
not as a mean of I want to say that against the conservation, but accidental. So fires, poaching, and the drought also. Those are the three problems of the plowshare tortoise. But the good thing is that on top of the patrol, on top of the public awareness, Dorel is trying to create um, a way for people to get more money. So what we called we help people to have income generating activities. But in the same time, the park is managed by Madagascar National Park, which is another NGO,
Organization, yes.
and we work together to better protect the park. And there was a lot of collaboration between Doral, Madagascar National Parks, and the local authority and the police around the area to protect those habitats with the local community, because the local community is also one of the partners conserving these species.
And should be always one of the partners, because without them, like you can do many of the things you do for the species, because without the support of them, like there will be more challenges, I would say. A-
Yeah,
And if I'm
yeah,
correct, what Dural is doing is kind of
yes,
changing their livelihoods to sustainable livelihoods, ways of generating
yes.
income without affecting the environment or affecting the tourists.
Mhm.
Oh yes.
Um, we are trying, because most of the people are either farmers and others are fishermen. So we have given them materials to use. I mean, kind of like fishing nets, boats, so that they can uh, collect more fish, sell those to the big town and get more money. That is quite easy. But with the people farming, because the land where they can farm is always the same one, we try to improve their techniques to produce more in the same
Patch of land.
surface of
Yes.
land. Yeah. So we have introduced many techniques. We have a team of agriculture people
Wow.
trying to help those community, but also we have uh, put them in some associations so that they can make some exchanging knowledge, exchanging uh, how can I say that, exchanging techniques, exchanging ideas, and inside of the community there is also a kind of banking, what we called VSLA. I don't remember
The meaning, yes.
the meaning, yeah, but we can Google that maybe.
Yeah, I can.
But some people are putting some money into the association, and if they are earning some money from their activity, they can put that money in the association as a form of banking. And if
Is
they
it?
need some more money,
mm,
they
Sorry.
can.
Uh, it
And
is the Village Savings and Loan Association. That's VSLA, right?
yes,
Oh yes, then
yes,
it's this.
yeah, village
Interesting.
and
Yes,
loan association, yeah.
and that are great.
So we have trying to help them of that. Yep.
Yes, yes. Sorry, Angelo, but yes, it's there's those are great incentives for the
Mhm,
population, and not only that, but they do help a lot along with Durrell for the more protection of this forest.
mhm,
Angelo, I think it's coming time to the end of this interview. Do you have
mhm.
anything else to say prior to the ending message?
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. And my message is that conserving the plowshare tortoise is very challenging work, and we are doing it in situ. I mean, in the place where it should be,
Exactly.
and we are doing it in the captive breeding, so that are we can say in the regional and national level in Madagascar. We've been trying to work with many people, trying to convince many people, not only in the field, but also in the big towns in Madagascar, with even with all the government people and the president. But we still have a problem, because we always see the tortoises of Madagascar going away from Madagascar, poached. not only the plowshare tortoise, but also the
Radiated and the
radiated tortoise. Yeah. So we need more collaborations with other people. We can do as much as we can in Madagascar, so we are doing that to stop the illegal wildlife trade. But we need the help from people outside Madagascar to do the lobby in those other countries to stop buying the tortoises from Madagascar, because that is driving the species into extinction. And as people know, there is always a need of money to do the work. So you can visit Doral's website and see what we do and do what you can.
Thanks, Angel. Sure, I will try to link the Dural Trust website down below so you can all check it out and learn more about what Angelo and the entire Wildlife Trust is doing for wildlife. Mm,
Mhm.
well, I think this was your last inspiring message, right?
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
thank you a lot for being here, Angelo. It's been really a pleasure. I hope that we reach many people and try to share the word about about the tortoise species of Madagascar, because most people don't even know that Madagascar has several, because it's not one, there are several tortoise species. So that's awesome. Thank you a lot. And let's say goodbye in Malagasy. Could you remember me how it is
Yeah.
said?
Veluma.
Venuma.
Veluma.
Venuma.
Veluma.
Venuma,
Goodbye.
everybody. Remember to like and subscribe. Yes.
Veluma.
Venuma.